Hey, everybody. Good to be with you. Mike Fairboard for Swing Trading. Hey, a lot of stuff going on in the markets today. I'm sure you've noticed a lot of volatility in certain segments of the market. We're going to break some of those segments down. But, folks, I really want to talk today about a targeting range that we've looked at. We've talked a lot about using targets for different types of price patterns. Today, though, I did want to look at specifically the unique ways we can do it with a measured move at breakout, at a potential breakout setup. So I want to run through that with you today. We've got several examples, plenty to keep an eye on. I'll keep I'll keep an eye on the chat as well as we go through this, but it is great to have you all here. I'm joined in the chat by great friend, colleague of mine, 30-year veteran of the markets, Mr. Ben Watson. You've seen him, guys. If you have been to the live events, he's been out there. And I encourage you to take a look at his stuff if you're able to, when you're out, maybe when he's out in your neck of the woods. But everybody, hey, good to be with you. And yes, welcome. By the way, yeah, questions, comments on that, any questions you have, throw those in the chat box so we can both address those for you. Definitely give us a follow if you're interested on X. Ben Watson CS, Mike Fairborn CS. Of course, that just stands for Charles Schwab at the end. All right. Well, with that, let's get rolling with some disclosures to get going here. Material here is intended for informational and educational purposes only. Now, options carry a high level of risk. They're not suitable for all investors. Short options can be assigned at any time up to expiration, regardless of the in-the-money amount. An ITM option has a high risk of being assigned early. A short put risk purchase in the underlying stock at the strike price when the market price of the stock will likely be lower. Paper money software application is provided for educational purposes only. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. There's no guarantee that an execution of a stop order will be at or near the stop price. Now, past performance is no guarantee of future results. And dividends, as we look at those dividend-paying stocks, folks, those are not guaranteed to continue. But a lot of traders do like to see a history of dividends. That gives them oftentimes more confidence. But yeah, obviously they can be cut at any time. Quick and final look at our futures disclosures here. As you can see pretty clearly, the futures and futures options trading does involve substantial risk. It's not suitable for all investors. And on that note, let's do this. Let's go ahead and just take a look at what's going on in the markets. And there you go. So if we zoom in, folks, a pretty big day down today. What's interesting is we did come off the bottom a little bit. And I don't want to get everybody's hopes up on that because it is a big move down. It's definitely a segment of the market that has been dipping. If you've taken a look, and we'll do a quick look at that as well here in just a second. But look at that. Really trying to get into that big round number there. That's it, 7,000. If we can get through that, it'll be interesting to see, what happens. Generally, February, at least over the past several years, it's tended to drift to the upside about mid-February. A lot of times we'll see it at least rise up to that level, but it does, it's hit and miss based on different sectors we might be looking at, right? So there you go. A little bit of a, whenever I see these big candles, the first thing I like to do is I just say this, because you guys are really good at candles. I know many of you, and you guys, are using it within your swing trades too, what we've talked about. But it is fascinating because you can look back here and say, now that's a bearish engulfing pattern. What I like to do is just count back the number of days just to kind of get a sense of how serious it might be. Now the day's not done yet, but there's 1, 2, 3 days it engulfed. We didn't get quite above this top here, but there are other days that are within this range right here too. So it's kind of a big engulfing pattern, kind of like we saw over here. And sometimes if you see that, you just drag through here for a little bit because it's kind of a higher on the magnitude scale is one way to say it. But we do have to say that really the biggest moves today have been right here in the NDX, and there you go. So there's a little bit of a downward move there. Now, what's interesting here too is that we still did just get a higher high over our range here, and technically still a higher low. Now, this was we have bottomed. If we look at this very, very carefully, we've bottomed at least short term a few times with these big candles, and they have been they've put in a bit of a temporary floor as prices have continued higher. Let's just take a look. I mean, if we highlight them, in fact, I'm just going to do this right now. So yeah, this candle right there, Obviously, that was right towards the low. Now, it might have shook a lot of people out, but there you go. This one too, by the way. How about over here? We ran right down to our trend line, but there you go. Pretty big down. This was fairly big, but this right here, if you include the gap, was pretty big as well. And again, we've got it right here. So the question is, what do we see going forward? I wanted to just highlight this today because we've seen a lot of movement in the markets, and obviously this is imperative. It's important for our swing trades and the direction we're looking at here. But that is clearly a higher low, as you could see right there. And with that higher low, does it stay a higher low? Is this a little bit of a zig-zag type move, which is a little bit symmetrical right there? We are still holding above the 2,500. I've got some questions on this. It's very similar to the character of the prior trend, which has found a tendency to kind of bounce off of those levels. So we shall see what does unfold here, but it will be interesting the remainder of this week for sure to see what goes on. But thus far, higher, low, higher, low, higher, higher. We'll see if we could still ride up to some seasonal moves. Another quick note too, if we come over here and we look at the Market Watch tab, because I wanted to highlight this. And one quick way to find out what is moving in the markets, and specifically the downside, I want to focus actually on the technology group. So I'm just in the quotes, as you can see. So Market Watch quotes. So sub tab right there, quotes. And a good quick way to find out really kind of what's been moving in this group and really where the weakness is at, because that's a big red candle. Put in the sector column and the sub-industry. It gives us a really good sense of what's been going on out there. Just click it a couple of times and there you go. And this is what really stood out to me, everybody, was this right there. Software. Right there. There's a lot of software. It looks like they're all, down roughly 7, maybe some of them 8% right there. Software is not having a great day. There's a look at some of the software. I think like Workday may have had earnings or something, didn't report good numbers. There you go. But then with that too, just scoot on down a little bit and you see also, there's another application software and another software, but you're getting some semiconductors and, by the way, another software. So by and large, you have to say the software group of technology is playing a big role. And it's always interesting too, just to go back and take a look at maybe some of the Mag 7 and see how they're doing. Here's Apple. Apple actually has bounced off that level. I sent a little bit of an X post out on this, or a tweet, and watching this one as it started to break above some highs. It still has continued on up. It'll be interesting to see if it does follow through. Just a quick look, the Mag 7 over here before we're done. And remember, we just get that Mag 7. It's not, although there's an ETF out there, there might be a couple of them, but that, folks, right there is the Mag 7 when you combine them all together. That's all of them right up top here. I'm just going to throw that in the chat box so you get it. All right, and hello to everybody just joining us. Yep, we're just getting started in here, just doing we're just about done, a brief market review, but there you have it. That is the symbol you put in. You just put a plus sign. So it's really nice. You could do this on the platform, and there you go. You could even do like a minus as well if you wanted to minus something out. Great. I mean, you wouldn't add it in the first place, but I'm just saying you could do a lot of cool things with this. And watching this can be of interest too, because they play such a key role in market weight. The weight, these carry big weight in the market. If they're moving up, it tends to put a lot of pressure on the market to the upside, or vice versa to the downside. You can see that right there under the Market Watch visualized, just these big blocks, and they are red today, but you can see that Mag 7, many of these sticking out. Okay. They all seem to be down. This is not a Mag 7, but PLTR happens to be up today. They had earnings, I believe. PLTR, just a quick look at PLTR. Let's just pull that up real fast so we can see it. PLTR, and okay, so there you go. Oh, interesting. So a little bit of a bounce there. You'd say that that's kind of like Morningstar-ish. I highlight it because it's just one of the tech companies that is kind of heavily market weighted. Not huge, not like the Mag 7, but it's fairly big. And there you go. There's the bounce off there. They must have beaten earnings, or at least they did beat earnings. Oftentimes, too, you've got to guide higher to get a move up. But they're going up in the face of That right there. Wow. NQ's down. So the NQ down about 550 and change, about 2%. So you're seeing that right here too on the NDX. So it'll be cool. It'll be fascinating to see if it's just a zigzag with a higher low, or do we start to test below 25? Did I say 100 last time? That's not 100. I'm going to go ahead and put another zero in there. 25,000. That's right. We're up a little bit higher. And by the way, there's a lot of activity here. A quick little note. I just want to see this real quick. We'll go full screen. What does the volume profile here show for us on this? Remember, volume P, if you just type it in that way, you'll pull it up. It's all one word, volume profile. Let's just take a look real quick and just see where those the big volumes in at. There you go. There you go. It's right at that level. And so it's really, really interesting right at this point. You guys can see that right there. These volume profile peaks. A lot of times if prices go up above that level, there's just less price congestion. So you can get a strong move up. Of course, what does that mean? It's going to have to break out, maybe take out some highs. On the flip side, you get below that node, which is, probably towards the bottom of 25,000, it might start to dip. It's a little bit easier, at least to dip to the next node right here. So keep an eye on this because this could pressure the entire market. But right there, volume might be diminishing right there. That might be the next level. Oh, there's a sideways right there somewhere. Yeah, right there. 24,000 is what it actually is. It's right lined up, but real close to 24,000, very close. Those lows, but maybe slightly higher here too. So you can watch this. This just takes this volume, plugs it horizontally there for us so we can take a look and just see where some of those peaks are. And I like to try to combine them, I think, with most traders, just around where a key support and resistance might be, because you can tend to get those big moves to the upside. Just a quick pause, folks. If you're finding this informative and useful, be sure and reach out and smash that like button. Appreciate that. It just gives me a sense that, this is useful information for you. We haven't even gotten to the core of our discussion here, but I'm looking forward to do that. Before I even get there, I just noticed this too. I haven't been looking at this on the futures, but this is helpful to see. We didn't take out a new high here. I'm not drawing straight lines. I don't know why. I've got a brand new mouse too. But if I go right over here, right there. Oh, close enough. We were not above, we did not break above the new high, but look down here with me. Money flow, folks, did. And remember, we get the volume indications on it. It looks like money flow took out those highs, even over here. All else equal, that's a positive building force. But hey, if we start to drop, it could mean an issue with that money flow. I mean, obviously, you start to dip, it could dip a little further. No doubt about that. So here is I'm just going to show you guys. I did this little X video on here, on X. There it is, a post, and it's just it's about 2 minutes long. But I just showed the same thing. If you get to these areas here where there's these nodes, sometimes prices will move up quickly above there or below there. Anyways, interesting. All right, you can follow Ben and I, Ben Watson CS, Mike Fairborn CS on X. Let's continue. A quick little note. Have you guys seen this yet? I think it's cool. It's fantastic, because I think many of you might have multiple accounts. So let me just pause for just a second before we get into our core topic of discussion here. But this is so nice. You can come over here now into, if you want to see all your accounts and what they're qualified for, or the levels you have on them, go up to setup now and just go to application settings. This is brand new. So you might have a ton of different accounts up here. This is, I'm just in a demo account, but like my other accounts, I've got other accounts in there, that we're looking at, retirement type stuff, whatever the case might be, different accounts. But if you come down here, it will list all your accounts. And then what's really nice is it will tell you down here what trading features you qualify for. It'll have a big box. And if you click right here, it will take you to the section where if you wanted to, you can apply for whatever it is, you're looking. It's got a few of those to look at, but a great way to see it, a great way to get into it. And I just wanted to highlight that. I thought it was so helpful because you can spend time going back and forth over the phone or trying to find stuff on the website, but now it's just part of the Thinkorswim platform. So check it out if that's going to be of interest to you guys. All right, let's clear off our volume profile, but it is useful. So take a look at that. Can be useful for sure. All right, you guys. Well, hey, in many types of discussions we've had, let me go blackboard on this one. It's not a blackboard. There we go. See, I get a blackboard if I just take off the chart. All right. So many of the discussions we've had, we've talked about price patterns and we've talked about the general flag pattern, right? But there are trades where it's quite difficult to understand where the target is, even on flag patterns. And it's something like this. You'll get a move coming up here. It'll kind of it'll go sideways, something like this. It'll dip, and you don't really know the flag. You're like, is it a flag or not? But before you know it, you've already broken out. And so, what kind of a measurement can we get based on that? Well, it's referred to as, I'll put this in here for short, a measured move. I'm going to break this down so you guys can get a sense of seeing it on breakouts. And by the way, it can be a little bit more in depth than you might have seen previously. And I'm going to hit some specific examples to show you that. Let's start off first. And by the way, a quick note, you know what's moving today? Utilities, energy, and transports. They've been doing okay, and some of that's been due to a little bit of a longer term, I'd say this, a longer term pullback in the price of oil, and then a recent pullback as well. But generally speaking, we're really, really quite low. And so some of these areas have been pushed higher. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Howard says, Mike, you can also rearrange the order of your accounts in the drop down. Nice. Appreciate that. Good to know. Good to know. Oh, okay. Well, there's some things, some details to look at there. Appreciate the comments. I will read those after. So, all right, too, if I don't get to them in time. But folks, yeah, thank you for posting those. So quick note. Yeah, utilities, energy, transports. I'm going to hit some of those right now. Let's start off with this one, which highlights, I think, pretty well today what a measured move can look like. And let me show it to you right now, because sometimes it can be a little bit tricky as you get into a measured move. It's tough to say that, like, for example, even over here, this move over here, I could say something like, oh gosh, that's a flag pattern, right? Well, is it? It's difficult to see the flag. I really can't see a flag there, but I can see signs of a measured move, which in many, many cases will come as a bit of a, not in every case, but you might see it as like a cup and handle. And the measured move, the way we measure a cup and handle can be very, very similar. It is similar to a measured move. Okay, let me show it to you right now. So what you do when you're looking for ranges that have run up higher and they have consolidated, this is basically the process. You take the high of the range, okay, and you dip it down to the low. So you got the high of that move and that consolidation. And generally, generally you'll see, sometimes sideways ranges like this. You might even see a cup and handle that reaches back up towards that prior level. But taking the higher point of the range should give you the full measured move. Oh, I'm a little bit lower there, right there. So you just take this, folks, and it's so straightforward. You just simply add this. That's right. I'm stating it there. You add it to the upside, and that is the targeted range right there. Just taking simply this price. So really, really easy at that same level. You just add it up here. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit more detail on this one as we look at it. Maybe some entry techniques, even after it's gapped up a little bit. But like even over, let's see, over here into a range like this. So you could see you've got a target here. Let me show you. So this is even a bit of a measured move too, or quite similar to it. See the range right here? Look at that same range to the upside. You're just about to the top. Or you take this range right here. Prices can move a lot of times in a measured range. And let me show you this right here. I'm just going back now because I just thought I'd highlight this, but there you go. So notice this is about, if I'm just using these blocks as an example, it's a good quick way to make measurements here. So it's about a half of a block and a full block range, right? Well, look at this. Here's my full block range and there's my half block range right there. You see it? You can kind of see a bit of a staircase move. It does get a little bit trickier when the ranges are a little bit wider, but that is a measured move target. And what we're really looking at, this one really gapped massively high, but it still hit the target range. Traders can sometimes try to buy at the bottom, a bounce, or a breakout as well. The bounce, yep, and we've got a B over here too for the breakout. Either of those two, but they're still measuring the exact same range in here. Let's look at this one over here. And if this was our range, we're using the high to the low, just like we did here, high to the low, looking for different touch points. You know, that target could be set up quite a bit higher, actually probably near. Here's another quick way to do it using Thinkorswim tools that are more exact. Let me show you. Bottom, right-hand corner. Use the drawing tool, the easiest way in the world to do this. Go up to right up here to our drawing tool. The trend line is what it is. Drag on this, click on it, pull it down to your low. Once you have that range, click and activate or duplicate. I'm just going to activate it and pull it right to those high levels. About right there. Real close to, maybe it's a little lower, just below 18. Okay, activate again. There we go. I'll pull it back down. That's the measured move range right there. So you could say, all right, Mike, maybe there's a little bit of room we have still to the upside to trade this. What are we at, about 16 now? So just below 18. Remember, this is the initial move. There could be more moves. It could move higher. It doesn't have to reach this range either. But that's a measured move trade. Now with this, let's dive into this one. This is a little bit tricky. You can see it gapping up today. And one thing we could do, if we start off a trade here, if you have a bigger day like this, a big move, and notice the volume's kind of high, this is just sort of a trading technique that I'll get into right now with you guys. Let's see, I'll back this out again. There we go. And if the price, so one thing you can do on something like this, if it was anticipated, I'm going to put one as an example trade for sure. But if we think, hey, maybe it's close, you know, approximately getting to 18. Notice over here, it's a big volume. What does that mean? Well, there might be some buying behind here. It gapped above the range. But really, really importantly, there is a high there and there is a low there. And this is a bit of, it's sort of like a doji in a way. So if we were to buy in here, let's just say 50 shares, and we don't add an additional 50 until it takes off up this high level. Do you see why that could make sense to a trader or investor? What are they looking for? Confirmation that that doji was not a tug of war, which is what they normally are, a tug of war between the bulls and the bears. But we're looking for confirmation the bulls are now taking over. So we could possibly add another 50 shares as we break about or whatever range we're looking at on this paper trade above that level. Because, gosh, there's a lot of volume there. And when you get a lot of volume at that point, there could be resistance. Just like there could be support off the bottom. So let's just do it real quick. Let's throw it in. That's probably enough talking about it, but I'm going to put a 50 share trade on here. That way too, if it were to go against us and break below this low, we can have that stop level set just below that 55.50, and we're only losing 50 shares per point that's coming through here. And there's not a lot going on with it. I mean, this is a very low price stock. So people might use higher unit values. I'm just using a lot of times 50 to 100 as an example over here, but let's just set it up right now. I'm going to set the target up towards 18. So I'm going to right click on the ask price. I'm going to go right over here to the buy custom, and we'll do OCO bracket. And we got to adjust this. And the first things first that I like to do, well, even before that, let's change this to a 50 right here. 50. Oh, got to get my number key locked. There we go. And then lock it down over here. Got to make sure our stop orders for the target and the stop do have a good tail cancel order on them. I'm going to keep this about a point lower. It's about 15 or so, just below 15. But this one, as you can see, our potential return relative to our risk is going to be higher. And it was just below, it was like 17, I'll just say 80 right there to the upside. Now, I'm going to consider buying if I break above that level, but let's go that additional level that I mentioned. But let's go ahead and just take a look at this right now, and I'll submit the trade here for us. Okay, so Order confirmation dialog box. We just confirm what we're looking at. We send that through. There's the trade over here. And below 15. So it was 15.50. I apologize. I'm going to actually raise this up even before the order triggers. I'm going to say if it goes below, I'm really not going to hold it much longer. Now, some might, depending upon how bullish they are, but this is just a swing trade, right, up to the measured move level. So that's the key point here. Now, when it breaks above here, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say right click. I'm just going to create an alert here for now. And I'll just say add plus 50 question mark. I got to take a look at it again right at that point. Now, you guys know I do read oftentimes an alert. Excuse me. Yeah, some of the details on the alerts. So alerts aren't guaranteed to be delivered or delivered at a specific time, speed or time frame, and should not be used as a replacement for actively being aware of your positions. So I do want to read that. Personally, I haven't had any issues with them, but want to state it because it is not guaranteed, as I mentioned right there. Okay. So with that. Let's move on to the next one. I'm going to shift on over into this area, KMI, where I do so. Quick look at the chat. All right. All right. Okay, so back to our measured move. I think Ben's got us all covered at this point in time. Folks, here's another one. It's bouncing across a larger range in here too. Yeah, I'm going to show you how we look at this, a trade like this. You might be getting a decent sense, a pretty good sense now of that measured move, but a little tricky on maybe a flag. Was the flagpole there? Is the flag developing? Do I wait? What's going on? We can bypass all of that with a measured move type trade. And I'm simply going to say, go back and just hit exactly what we're looking at. Take the high of the range and the low, and we just take this in price and we add that. Let's see, one, yeah, it's a little bit higher up here, but we take this and we would just add this range. I'm just kind of projecting up higher where it might be. And that's kind of the target range, because what we're kind of looking at here is a little bit of a cup and handle pattern. And we're just trying to get a sense because we broke out above the range. So at a breakout, if you get the breakout above the range, you can start already looking for a possible measured move, because what's unique about it is you're in a sideways channel and now you have broken out. So specifically for a breakout, although some people anticipate the breakout and try to buy in at the bounce, the possible bounce levels down here at a low level, the breakout is oftentimes where that, well, it's really where that measured move begins. So let's draw it so we can all see it. I'm going to pull it down right here. Okay, just pull down, and we'll make this a little bit bigger. Yeah. Get right into our Thinkorswim tools that make it a little bit more accurate to draw this. And here's the high. Here's the low. I've got it in place. All I'm simply going to do is I'll duplicate it in this case. And all you're going to do here is just drag it back up and make it match. And that's your target move right there. So just above like 32, for example, right there on this Kinder Morgan. By the way, you guys, these guys get paid not necessarily on the price of oil at all. How their company works. It's based upon the shipment of products, and some of that shipment, I believe, is nat gas. Yeah, and so it really can tie in better to like potentially growing economy if there's a lot of need for energy, as opposed to the prices. By the way, demand goes up too sometimes when the price of energy, or oil in this case, goes down, and that's what these guys ship, is energy type products like that. So a little side note on them, a little bit different, but that, like I said, energy's running, and this falls into the energy two fields. We said utilities, energy, and transports. This is actually two of the three. This is an energy and a transport. We'll hit the transports here next, but take a look at this. Okay, so here is one, and that's the anticipation of the move right there. What is fascinating is if I were to look over here and show you the overlap with this happens so much, but I'm clicking there 3 times. Okay, there's the click right there. If you see that, there goes our entry right there. But if this was the flag and if this is the low, watch this. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the flag now. You'll see the overlaps happen a lot. Oh, right about there. There's the low. So it's very, very close. We are within, if that's 32.20, 32.20-ish, that's 32.30 and change, within a dime. Okay. I would just say though, in certain setups, the measured move is a little bit more easier to see, and maybe for some traders, a little bit more accurate as well. But you've got a flag and that, and oftentimes, well, like I said, what's fascinating is they do line up very closely. In this case, just above 32. Let's go ahead and set this one up. I'll just do a full one on this because it looks today like we may, day's not over, so I can't say it, but we may get a hold, another signal that we like to use. Well, some traders will like to use, I should say, not everybody, of course, but closing above the high of the low day right there. Will we close above it? We've got about 30 minutes to go, but let's just do a full trade on this. We'll set our stops below the low bar, which is a lot of times what we'll do with the hold, right? We set it below the bar that's setting up for the trade, and it's right there. And then we have a target quite high, a really good return, potential return to potential risk that you get on a lot of these, but let's do it right now. We'll see that return and risk real quickly over here. I'm going to do the OCO bracket order, and here we go. So I'm going to set this up at 100. We're good there. Good till cancel, good till cancel. And I'm going to set this, that's fine right there. And remember, this was just below, or just above 32. I'm going to say 32.10 or whatever we look at, right? But this is the trade. So we've got our upper potential target level and our downward level for our stop. I'll adjust that stop on the chart here very quickly, right after I go through the confirm and send. So always go through this though. We don't want to miss this. Order confirmation dialog and send it right there. Okay. Let's pull up and take a look at the chart. Oh, that lined up pretty good. I'm going to leave the stop right there just below the setup bar for the hold. And then there's our upward target right around 32. So just above 32. So what we're looking at here is actually, so potential risk, boom, right there, if we get triggered at that level. And potential reward is, if we're buying there too, a little bit bigger, maybe a 2-to-1. 2-to-1 potential reward, potential risk. Okay. There we go. And that, remember, that's just the first target. Some traders might say, man, I'll tell you what, if I'm seeing strength over here and I'm above the 10-period moving average, I might just stick with it for a little bit because perhaps there is a bigger trend, and this one might have a bigger trend in place. Look at the weekly. You see it? That's a big, I don't know if we would get this, if we get a move like this, but that's a weekly. And although we do shorter term trades in this class, swing trades, some traders might say, well, this is interesting because perhaps, they could trade it to the upside longer term too. So there's always, well, not always, but there could be that potential if you do see a longer term pattern in place. Oh yeah, that is money flow. It is. Yep. Chris, you're exactly right. That is money flow beneath the RSI. I'll throw that in there just to give us a little bit of a different feel. What Chris is referring to is this right here, money flow, which does look at accumulation or distribution of buying and selling as we put it in. Oh, what are the stops on AES? AES stops are, they are right here. So what I did, this was a unique one there. Yeah, so what it was is when you break below this, we use this as the measurement of everything because it's a big volume day. So you break below this big range, it's out. If we break in, we've got an alert in place for a potential addition of 50 up to our, right there, target measured move. All right. Sounds good. Yeah, and by the way, there is some selling. We took a look at that today. They with the tech stocks for sure. Okay. Here is NEE. Let me just highlight a couple of these more so you guys can see them. Again, this is utility. Wait, is it energy? This is kind of a crossover. I mean, utilities, is energy and to a degree as well. But just a quick check on this. Oh, analyze fundamentals. Where are we? Utilities. Okay, it is. when it says Nextera Energy, I mean, utility is kind of like energy as well. But there you go. Do you guys see the move right here? Where is, and sometimes you can look for that cup and handle, but I'm just looking for the high range back here, the low, and we draw that target up from the breakout, which we got. I'm just eyeballing it, but over here as well. By the way, you're getting close to that 100 level. Keep eyes on that too. Sometimes those can be big resistance levels. But one of these old books I was reading too had a really interesting comment. And they said in there that, 100, this guy's view, he said, once you get above, this is interesting because this could have been like a measured move over here, like coming up. In this case, a shorter term target that may be a longer term flag. But on the breakout here, he said, what he was saying is what he noticed, and who knows, it's not going to happen every time, but he said he saw it a lot. When you get above 95 and you start moving and moving, he says prices will oftentimes get sucked up to 100. What's interesting here is our target. That was just his. He just gets it. It can get sucked up to a big round number. But if that's our target, I'm going to just kind of measure this over here. It's like that's not quite 100, maybe just above 95. But he's saying if you get that high, a lot of times it'll just hit 100. So, question mark, we don't know. But that's just an interesting thing that I'd read a long time ago. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see on that. But that's one I wanted to highlight for you guys as well. I don't want to do too many of these in the same area, the same stock. But let's do this. Transports clearly. Okay, this is really, really fascinating. This is SCX. Now, it is breaking out above all of these levels. But what I wanted to highlight here is that we have measured moves in this pattern, in this type of a pattern that's kind of ascending, sort of an ascending triangle here. Look at this. Long-term possible projection, intermediate term possible projection, and then your short term right there. Let me explain. Let's get some Thinkorswim drawing tools in here. Down here, high to the low, I'm going to just activate it and move it up from those same highs right there. It's off our screen, okay? The next one we've got, high to the low. Oh, come on. There we go. Intermediate term type trade or projection to the upside. Look at that. You've got this one. It's a little bit different, a little bit lower. And then, of course, you've got this one, which is the short term. Right there. Oh, let me draw it straight. Let me activate that, and I will draw it straight. This is how those measured moves can work, and they can be very, very interesting. But look at this right there. Long-term target, intermediate, and short-term. Just using the high to the bottom, high to the bottom, high to the bottom right there. We're approaching our short-term right here at 40, but this is a longer-term pattern, and it might kind of move. Folks, this is where we're really seeing strength is in some of these areas. This is a key transport, right? These guys are trains, I think. Yeah, they are. As I'm industrials. Hang on. Company, that's what I'm missing. Company profile. There you go. Rail-based freight transportation. Isn't that interesting? So you have different targets. You don't see this all the time. In fact, a lot of times it's just this pattern here. But the point I want to come back to is that that's just can be sometimes the first target. You're just looking at this range to the upside as we are, in fact, trending higher. Look at this with me. Here's another, let's see, a railroad. Let's see how the railroads are doing. UNP. Yeah, right there. There's your cup and handle. Right there. We have a sense of the measurement right there. Look at this. This one is like on the verge. We don't know if it'll break out, but it's on the verge of breaking out. And now you guys have, based upon what you learned today, a really good idea of how technicians will use this. And there's a longer term one in there too. But I'm just going to focus in on this one for now. I just wanted to highlight that because it was sort of fascinating that you can look at different time frames, but look at this. So if I go here, yeah, it's about 20 points, about 260-ish right there. Okay, by the way, I'm gonna get better at drawing these straight lines, this new mouse, but it is a little interesting with my hands here. Okay, but there you go. So this one is like right on the verge of breaking a little bit of what I would call a laggard, you guys, a laggard in the group. PSX. Okay, you see it? Sort of the cup and handle, but what you're getting is the measured move set up. Cup and handles, again, are part of a measured move. We have a pretty good idea of where that could go higher here, don't we? I mean, it's right there. Right along that edge, in other words. And we'll see what we do, in fact, get there. I did want to highlight, oh, yeah. So part of transportation also is this, which is Delta. Pretty interesting move. Now, this would be more of, I would say, flag pattern, right? Flag pattern at this point in time, perhaps. There's a little bit of a flag, and you're starting to get going right now, approaching the T1 target level. We talked about the T1 pretty frequently previously, but a possible breakout here. UAL, I think the one that actually broke out in advance here, which is interesting because it might lead the others higher. LUV, folks, there's Southwest right there. So sometimes when you get good news on one that has earlier earnings that were positive and possible guidance, maybe you'll get the follow through. Last one, UAL. Right there. Okay, a couple flags for you too. STZ, before we're done. Stars, one that we were looking at here, as well as possibly CF. Right there. Ooh, do you see the measured move there, perhaps? That is like the cup and handle right there, with the handle right there. So again, this move to this move, measured to the upside. Folks, if you're finding this helpful, smash that like button. Really lets me know that it is useful for you guys. Here is our Trader Talks channel. Encourage you to subscribe if you're not already. I think many of you are, but I'm just over here at Trader Talks. In fact, I'll throw this in. You can subscribe. Many of you are subscribers, but just in case you're not, here it is into the chat, folks. Last week, now I did this in the swing trade class. As a quick note, I didn't even put down in the title here what we were. This was all about those short put verticals, and I realized what I didn't even put it in here. If you guys are interested in how we set targets with a short put vertical that is really designed to kind of. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Okay, I just was going to copy the link. Here we go. Hate to see myself on the screen like that, but there you go. All right, so that one there, that is the swing trade class where we did talk. There was a question that came in, a topic earlier today in a class that I chatted in about setting potential stop levels and targets. That was for the short put verticals class. You'd never know it though, because I didn't put it in the title or the thumbnail. So I wouldn't expect anybody to know it. But yeah, I promised I'd do a class on that, and I realized afterward. Anyhow, you guys, it has been good being with you today. We talked a lot today about the measured move. And remember, it's been a little while, but we did initially talk about some of what was moving the markets and things to keep an eye on with technology. Sometimes those Mag 7s can play a big role. They're big movers out there, up or down, and watch this to see if this higher low here does continue. We've had a number of these big bars coming down, and that gap would have been a big bar too. They've ended up being shorter term bottoms. The question is will this one be like the prior moves? But folks, mostly today, it was about the measured move. Hopefully you learned something on it. I think we accomplished that today. Gave you quite a variety, and I'll tell you what, we're going to incorporate that in this class right here going forward. Thanks so much, Ben, for your help in the chat. And thank you, folks, for your comments. Again, smash that like button, subscribe to our channel. And hey, we'll see you all next time. Have a great day, everybody.